Helldivers 2 is nerfing the fun and fantasy in pursuit of realism and balance. Howdy and hello, I'm OhDough. Hope you're doing good. And don't take my word for it. This is from the horse's mouth. The head product tester for Arrowhead said this a few months ago. All too often in the games industry, the core fantasy and what makes a weapon feel fun and good is ignored for the sake of balance. I believe players are scared of nerfs because it will ruin the fantasy of a weapon and ruin their fun. Now, small tidbit. Balance and realism are kind of the same thing to Arrowhead. For instance, they nerfed the Flamethrower because it wasn't realistic in how it could melt a charger's leg armor. That's a balance thing, but they tie in realism because why not? And they go on to say, it is extra important to us to tread carefully so that we don't ruin fantasy and fun when we do nerfs. Defining fun is too easy because if it's fun for me, it's fun for everyone. But fantasy, that's a bit more objective. Spread democracy with overpowered weapons. This is the back of the cover art for PS5, and that is a pretty good description of the fantasy that folks were buying into, especially if you consider the PS5 bug letting folks one-shot Bile Titans with the railgun and arc thrower when the game launched. That was the fantasy that people had in mind, at least some people. But the fantasy the devs have in mind is a bit different, I suppose, and that is the grunt fantasy. We're supposed to be little dumpster babies trying to fend off a bunch of aliens with papier-mâché armor and some Nerf guns from Temu we only buy when they're on sale. Things aren't looking good for us with this idea. When they first nerfed the Breaker, they apparently changed the magazine size visually in-game to reflect the loss of 3 shotgun shells. Who in their right mind is going to notice that? There might be one person, and this is the issue with trying to focus on realism so much. You put yourself in a losing battle. No matter what, you will never have a realistic game that is this fantasy focused. Ever. And it seems that the fantasy or the realism is only being focused when it negatively impacts the player. A good example is the Flamethrower nerfs. Flames weren't working realistically, and it seems as though they changed the flames from napalm to more of a diesel look animation-wise. Napalm would have worked the way that we kind of had it working, which is absolutely cooking the charger's leg. I think, at least, given my very minimal research on the topic. I spent some time looking up some stuff. Didn't see a whole lot going on with the topic of flamethrowers, but flamethrowers can shoot napalm. And I saw a video of an airstrike with napalm hitting tanks, and it was bad. And how come fire doesn't scare away the bugs? I'm thankful it doesn't, but realistically speaking, someone would be afraid. Maybe the big ones wouldn't care, but Wilbur would be trembling like the piggy he is. Instead, they press W. Also breaking news, I'm confused. This person said, what's your opinion on Flamer Visual? They're asking the CEO, Shams. Shams said, personal only, doesn't speak for the studio. I like the older one. I want to know if this visuals had to change for technical reasons or they did it for fun. Because the old one was objectively better. It was a stream of fuel. It was sick. Why couldn't you all have said the Flamethrower is murking charger behemoths, chargers a little too quickly? We'll go ahead and tune it down a smidge. It can still do it, but we'll tune it down and make it slower to kill them. Reduce durability damage. Then give it the ability to slow down bugs when you hit them, the smaller ones. To make flame work a bit more, as I heard from a person that was a flamethrower technician. He said they had a bunch of dudes running after him, and the second he torched him with a flamethrower, it's as if they went in slow motion. So if you want to use realism, use it in ways that are fun and engaging. Okay, so the example from that dude is dark and twisted, and that's just war, I guess. But in the gaming context, little Wilbur on fire can't chase you down as much, and also they're taking fire damage and they're slower. That's kind of cool. Big fan. So you had so many avenues, and in my head, I wasn't justifying, but I was trying to rationalize why you nerfed it, and the only thing that made sense is you were worried that the Flamethrower would trivialize the Impaler. And you're maybe tired of how fast it was killing charger behemoths and chargers, because it was pretty quick. But you could handle that. You could reduce durable damage. You have the tools in the toolbox. I don't think it's wise to jump the gun as you guys usually do, and just make a weapon essentially obsolete. Railgun, arc thrower, flamethrower. Stop doing it. It's a trend I think that folks are getting tired of. And they couldn't see it at first because everyone was so happy that railgun got nerfed. The meta's gone. You guys are mad. Get good now. The meta just shifts, dog. It doesn't go away. The meta never goes away. It just shifts. Just like their reasoning for nerfing things. If they want to nerf a player, it's because of realism. If they nerf the enemy, they never use realism as an excuse, even though the case could be made for a few enemies. The automatons, rocket devastators can fire forever, infinitely. They never run out of rockets, so they're just making them themselves. So little freaking tiny robots inside forging some rockets internally. I don't believe they should run out of ammo. That'd be not very fun to play against. You can just hide behind a corner. Eventually, your enemies don't have any bullets left to fire at you. You win. That's lame. What I am saying is, why can't we just give the HMG more ammunition? Oh, wait, that's right. You have to wait to design a bigger magazine to visually represent its ammo increase. You don't. I promise you, you do not have to do that. They're catering themselves to a core audience of made-up people. Their core audience is folks that want to feel as if they can handle the odds of these hordes of enemies as they learn the game and they bring a decent loadout. But they aren't really being given that game. Except, not intentionally, I'd say. Because we've had these experiences of power fantasy here and there. Before, we had the PS5 bug, letting Railgun, Arc Thrower, and in general, support weapons do a lot more damage to Battle Titans. This made it so folks could actually play the game. And the Railgun could kill Battle Titans in two or one shots, and also strip Charger leg armor without needing much charge. I don't think Railgun killing Battle Titans that quickly was good, but I think that Railgun should definitely kill them faster than it does right now. 4 or 5 max charge shots at the highest. And also, potentially, let me carry an EAT 17 or a Commando while also carrying a Railgun. That'd be nuts. That'd be good stuff. Offer more build variety. Dude, being able to dual wield support weapons in their current state would make them good. But support weapons in their current state are not that good against the bugs. Now, Charger heads can be one shot. They made that change with anti-tanks, so recoilless rifle, EAT 17, so on and so forth. They could one-tap Chargers. You could still one-tap their legs, but it would just reveal the armor and you have to waste ammo killing it. Quasar cannon gets released. This is a great support weapon, which Flamethrower got buffed when Railgun got nerfed. And now, Railgun cannot keep up with heavy spawns. Charger behemoths are now tankier than Chargers. Impalers are tankier than Charger behemoths when using anti-tank, except now you can use freaking autocannon and kill Impalers. But if you bring an anti-tank, it's going to take you 2 shots to strip leg armor on the back legs and front legs, but back legs are the go-to. Shoot in the face, you're better off just bringing an autocannon. Why waste your stuff there? And there's fewer Battle Titan spawns than ever, it seems. Flamethrower can't go through Charger leg armor anymore, so Flamethrower essentially became a glorified machine gun, except it has less range. It technically has better clear potential if you're setting the ground on fire, but it depends on who you're facing. You're facing Battle Spears, Flamethrower is not a good option, I wouldn't say. Then fire damage got nerfed a smidge because of the Flame Hulks, and they made up for it by giving us a ship module. So I guess the Flamethrower fire damage didn't change, but the Incendiary Breaker fire damage is lower, and essentially the Cookout and other new Warbond is weaker thanks to this fire nerf a while back as well. And you took away my sample mission, gosh darn it. Where's my retrieve essential personnel mission? I need it desperately. It's so fun farming samples. You should focus, I'm telling you, focus on making a sample mission and it would do numbers. People like me exist that love farming samples. And it helps folks that need them because there's a bunch of ship modules. Anyway, there's probably more specific points to point out the power fantasy, but the biggest one would be the PS5 bug, the Flamethrower, and the ability for anti-tank to kill Chargers with one shot. Folks love that stuff. But it's all gone downhill since then because you can't one-shot a Charger Behemoth with a anti-tank anymore. And there's now more Charger Behemoths and Chargers, it seems like, on the higher difficulties. And people want to progress in Helldivers 2. Nobody in their right mind wakes up every day going, I can't wait to play on the same difficulty for the next year in this video game. Insert any video game. People like the idea of progressing. And in Helldivers 2, it seems that as time goes on, we get updates that simply regress the player to no fault of their own, really. And they also take away from build diversity, which is a whole different topic. Because right now, versus automatons, autocannon is really good. The best, I'd say. And now versus the bugs, autocannon might also be the best because of all the current factors in place. Anti-tank can't keep up. Railgun can't keep up. Arc Thrower can't keep up. So many guns can't keep up on the bug front that autocannon being decent versus impalers, being good at taking out spore spewers, shrieker hotels, having that utility, and also killing alpha commanders in one shot becomes nuts. And this is all because of these compounding changes throughout the updates that simply take away from the player here and there, and how impactful they are on their own, but more so when combined with every other change and every other update. And this just lack of understanding of how players want to feel as if they have a chance. Let people just have the ability to learn the game, and once they learn it, they can then apply what they've learned and see how they do. But instead, folks spend time learning something only for it to be nerfed, taken away for no good reason. An example of this would be y'all freaking nerfed the penetration capabilities of the Patriot exosuit, a 10-minute cooldown stratagem that gives you 14 rockets that had the same pin level as the other anti-tanks, E-17, Quasar, Recoil's Rifle. You nerfed that. So now there's times where it takes you more than the shots it would take them to strip armor. Why? It's a 10-minute cooldown. You only get 2 uses. It legit doesn't make any sense. There's no conceivable sense to be made out of this. Heavy machine gun. The highest fire rate mode reduced from 1200 RPMs to 950. Well, it shouldn't fire faster than the stalwart and the machine gun. Why not just remove those guns at this point or condense them down? I think that we have so much bloat in Helldivers 2, it's causing balance issues. If I wasn't a changed man, the last straw would have been removing the armor pin bug of the throwing knife. Being able to kill chargers with 4 throwing knives was kind of cool. And these things do not fly very good. They're really jank, if we're being honest. So removing that and not giving it at least the ability to, I don't know, do more damage versus flesh, give it more durable damage, but keep the pin level low so it can't penetrate armor. It can just do good damage versus durable bits. You're not giving folks a reason to use stuff. And the throwing knife was super niche. I never really saw anybody using throwing knife. So for it to catch a stray like that just comes off as odd. So my rationalization is, again, is this thing going to be nuts versus the Impaler and trivialize it? I don't know. And we can't know. And I don't want to give y'all that kind of credit, because given how you nerf things and your own explanations just don't make any sense, that might be a little too generous for me to give y'all that kind of leniency. Just make your game fun. Nobody really cares about realism except for y'all, and I don't really see why you care about it, because you say you're trying to cater your core audience, and you say a game for everyone's a game for no one. Are y'all making a game for just yourselves? Because you yourself say that you don't have the time to playtest it like you want. So who is the game being made for? I'm waiting to find out. I've been trying to find out. I've been thinking about it a decent bit. I want to know. Because the game could be for me. I like it. I got a lot of hours in it. I guess we could include the millions of folks that bought the game and loved it on launch in the same conversation. But those same people have been pushed away by essentially the newest updates. The ones that came out first, they didn't quite catch on to what was happening. I did, because I'm a bit of a nerd. But the trend has been the same. We get buffs, we get nerfs, but the nerfs are almost always more impactful in a negative way than the buffs are. The nerfs bring us down more so than the buffs bring us up. And our overall build variety has been severely lacking since the game launched. That hasn't changed. But I think that they can definitely turn things around. I'm not going to say the game's dead or dying. That's the point of this video. The point of the video is just to point out that realism is a joke that should be laughed at and not taken seriously. So please stop taking realism so seriously in this video game. You can use it to make your weapon designs. That's cool. I think I'm cool with that. It's a game that has the most absurd potential. Because even through all this, I'm still playing it for now. Space Marine 2 comes out pretty soon, though. I'll be playing that a bit. Take a small break from Helldivers 2, if you don't mind, perhaps. Anyway, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Peace.